Today on Guitar Gear 1, we're going to be reviewing the G400 SG from Epiphone, which is the generic version of Gibson's SG, which is the generic version of the Guitar Hero controller. Let's take a look. Okay, so I hope we didn't bore you too much with our thrilling and accurate information on the Guitar Hero controller, but in all seriousness, here you go. Here's the Gibson SG G400, sorry, the Epiphone G400. And you might be wondering why we have a Les Paul out, or at least a Les Paul style. This is actually made by a company called The Heritage. There is a full review available on the page on this guitar, but it's a good representation of what Les had designed. And the story is Les created this guitar, which was single cut. It later had a maple top and a mahogany back. It's ultimately what he wanted. It was originally all mahogany. It did originally have P90 pickups, not humbuckers. But this was his thing. Now, without his knowledge, without his consent, Gibson created the SG, which at the time they called the Les Paul. They made him his own signature model, again, without his knowing. And these guitars have very little in common. Yes, they both have two pickups. Yes, they both have 4 control layouts with a 3-way switch. That's kind of where we're ending. They're balanced completely differently. The cut is completely different. In the case of the SG, it's a completely mahogany construction. Both the body and neck are made of mahogany, and Les wasn't down with that. But to give you a look at it, this is what's available now. So for about the cost of a Gibson case, a little bit more, you can find a used version of one of these SGs. And again, it's all mahogany. Pretty decent electronics. In fact, I've been liking them a whole lot. I'm going to give you a look at the back. There's something of a satin finish on it, a matte kind of satin finish, I'm going to call it. I find it extremely comfortable, and really not much more to tell you about it externally. There's not a whole lot to these guitars, so why don't we do some playing?
Go ahead.
So, the first thing I kind of want to tell you about this guitar is its layout. It's very unique to the SG. The end of the fretboard actually terminates to my left, just a little bit. And so what I'm saying is, usually when I'm playing a guitar, maybe the action, the whole thing seems to be a few inches closer to me. And so I have really short, like Tyrannosaurus arms. And when I'm reaching out for the lowest frets on this guitar, I actually have to like physically reach out like to the length of my arm just about to get to them. And I've noticed that while standing up playing, I get a little more fatigued because I'm not in a more comfortable position. It is unusual to me. The other thing is that I want you to see right away, because if you just pick up an SG in a store, you need to be aware of this. They are the most neck-heavy guitar that I've ever seen in my life. Like when you take your hand off, it just instantly falls over. Especially if you're standing up, it just goes with no force at all. I mean, like just letting it go, it just falls fairly quickly. And I have this thing cinched up high like a beetle or something like that. But as far as balance goes, forget it. And it's a fairly small change to make, but I find the trick is to use your forearm a little bit to kind of counterbalance that tipping action that you will absolutely experience. And there's all kinds of horror stories of guys cracking the headstocks off their SGs because that's just what happens. So they're set up a little bit differently. That's something good to be aware of. The forearm thing really helps. I think this thing sounds awesome. We're going to start off on the neck pickup. That was in the middle position, by the way, with both humbuckers full on. Everything's dimed, everything's rolled all the way up. You know what? Let's not. Let's start with some metal stuff just for laughs. Drop D, we're going to go into the bridge position. machines seem pretty good. I haven't had any tuning stability problems. I haven't played this guitar a ton. And again, this is a loaner guitar. I'm sorry, I didn't mention that. Another friend of mine did borrow this guitar just for the review. I've played SGs in the past, for sure, of course, but I haven't spent a ton of time with them over the years, just so again, that's totally clear. So we're gonna hop back up onto the neck position humbucker. Just kind of play around a little bit. I have no idea what I'm gonna do. That kind of a thing. I don't know, man. Neck position stuff. Nice singing sustain, really clear when you want it to be. Pinched harmonics seem to be a breeze. There's something about exactly where this bridge terminates. And again, it's not where you're used to it being. It's definitely over to the left if you're a right-handed player. It'd be over to the right, of course, if you're a left-handed player. But where it is, it just allows you to really get in there and pick in a way that's maybe a little more difficult on other designs, which is weird for me to say because I think there's pros and cons to this, but so I find it less comfortable in the left hand, just being totally honest, when I'm in the lower frets, but I find the right hand more comfortable. And so I would say this is definitely a give and take. What else can we do with this thing? Again, I mean, you're going to see these all over the place. The SG is one of the most popular designs. It's one of the most enduring designs. There's tons of signature artists that have played these for years and years and years, whether it's for blues, all-out rock and roll, all-out metal, whatever it is, extremely versatile. And I just got to be honest, we had just done the PRS SE Zach Myers review. I'm going to bounce around to a couple of the more affordable models that we have available. We have some other stuff here at my place that you've never seen before on the channel. We're going to start dragging that stuff out because, again, I mean, literally, and I'm not joking, for the cost of like a set of Gibson pickups, you get this whole guitar. For like the cost of a Gibson case new, you can get one of these used. And just so it's said, my friend that got this got it for under $300. It was between $200 and $300. And so, very cool model to be aware of. If you're considering an SG, you're kind of sketchy about the whole tip thing, you're not sure how that's going to adapt to you, buy a lower cost one, see what you think. I think for the money, you just can't possibly go wrong. Thanks for coming back to the page. And if there's stuff you guys want to see, let me know. If there's stuff you want to see more of, less of, you want to send me something to review. Again, the band shirt thing, that's kind of interesting to me right now. But I hope to see you on the page. We're going to do a lot of new stuff, so come back. Thanks.